Hello, this is Stephen Kael, your Shattered Empire scribe. I am reading more from Chapter 5 of Freeborn, published by your link. It's available for around or under $5 at Amazon, and likely the same at other booksellers such as Barnes & Noble. Picking up from where I left off, Tishamon gestured again, waggling the loaf. The child took a few hesitant steps forward, hunger warring with the fear and distrust learned on the streets. Freeborn tipped his bowl toward the urchin to show the rich, savory stew inside, then placed it on the end of the table. Tishamon placed the loaf next to the bowl, and both adventurers slid across the benches away from their offering. Hunger triumphed, and the urchin darted to the table. As it did, Freeborn thought he could detect feminine features in the child's face. One hand snatched the loaf, the other grabbed the wooden spoon and began shoveling the stew into her mouth. She wolfed down half the stew and several large bites of the bread before stopping. Perpetual hunger had shrunk her stomach to a fraction of a well-fed child. It didn't take much to fill it. Once the girl stopped eating, she looked longingly at the tankard sitting before the companions. Tishamon pushed his drink toward the girl and signaled to the man behind the bar. Shortly after, another brimming tankard of lightly hardened cider was placed on the table before Tishamon. "We have given you food and drink, and asked but a small favor in return," Tishamon said in his business tone. The girl responded by sidling a step toward the door, a wary look in her eyes. "You've nothing to fear from us," Tishamon said in a calming tone. "He's too young, and I've no liking for the taking of children." A confused look came over the girl's face. "Huh?" "He means that neither of us want to do anything to hurt you," Freeborn interjected. "Thank you, Free," Tishamon said with mild irritation coloring his voice. He turned to the girl and continued, "All we want is information. I would like for you and your companions to watch for the Yaifa caravan. We wish to journey with them. We also want to hear road conditions and any news of bandits or goblinoid activity along the road. Do you think you can do that?" At the girl's nod, Tishamon added that he and Freeborn would be staying in the Painted Horse and spending their days about town. "I know the place. We sometimes get food from them," the girl replied in a voice of mixed cocky assurance and fearful caution. "Who do I ask for?" "I apologize," said Tishamon, bowing from where he sat on the bench. "I am Tishamon, the Long Walker, and this is my apprentice, Freeborn." To anyone who knew the trails, Tishamon's name was legend. The elf had traveled the length and breadth of the known lands in his over 4 centuries of wandering. He had scouted many of the routes now used by trading caravans, including the route from Port Clay to Yaifa, and then on down to Kingston. The urchin must have spent a lot of time around the caravansaries, because she cocked her head quizzically at Tishamon for a moment before she said anything. "If you are the great Tishamon, why wait for the caravan? You should be able to make the trip by yourself." "By myself?" "Yes," Tishamon agreed. "However, I have young Freeborn here. He needs to learn how to get on with caravans, and we are not in such a rush that traveling with the caravan will slow our journey over much." By the girl's expression, Freeborn judged that they only understood about half of Tishamon's words. However, she did understand the general gist of what he meant. "Okay, I'll find out what you wants to know, and let him know you wants to go with him." "I'd be obliged," Tishamon said as he quietly placed 2 silver coins, both stamped with the oak leaf design of Alak, on the table before her. Freeborn had no sooner seen the coins than a dirty hand darted forward like a striking snake, and the silver disappeared. After a longing gaze at the partial loaf of black bread which Tishamon had held out, the waif turned to leave. As she did, Tishamon spoke. "Whom do I ask for if I want something else?" The waif turned around and said, Kael, the cat. I'm usually around the north gate or the pens." She flashed a surprisingly dazzling smile and darted out the door. Tishamon looked thoughtfully at the empty doorway, as if the now vanished Kael were still there. Freeborn had been with him only a few seasons, but had learned what that look meant. "Tishamon, you told me to remind you that you cannot save every waif you come across. You don't even know if she wants to be saved. She might even like her life." "How can anyone like a life like that?" Tishamon asked quietly but vehemently, dodging constables and crooks at every turn, being starved half the time and half-starved the other. Tishamon shook his head. "She doesn't truly like her current life. She's simply known no other." "What do you propose?" Freeborn asked. "Can we save her and leave her friends in squalor? Or do we rob City Hall and lift all the city's poor into a higher status?" Freeborn shook his head, his inner compassion and desire to help warring with the seemingly insurmountable problem. "No, Free," said Tishamon resolutely. "We simply direct opportunity into her path. It will be up to her to take it. I suppose you noticed how quickly the coins disappeared?" "How could I not?" responded Freeborn. "I barely saw her arm move." "That's all it did do," said Tishamon. "It barely moved. Certainly not enough to reach the coins. The child has a talent in either mentalism or some unknown type of magic. She moves her hand just enough to fool the unwary, then uses either telekinesis or teleportation to move what she wants into her hand. She may not even know she's doing it."